Today I'm making a marble burfi, and this is a great Diwali treat, but it can be used at any time. It doesn't just have to be for Diwali. And another plus point about this is it hasn't got any added sugar. I'll show you. If you do not add the chocolate on top, then it can be made without any added sugar. But the chocolate does contain sugar, so if you want to have like a coating of chocolate on it, then it's with added sugar. So I'm going to show you two versions of that. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to roast the I'll show you the plate that I have of ingredients. I got 40 grams of oats. I got 50 grams of almonds. I got golden sultanas here, and I got cranberries, and I got my dates. So I'm going to start roasting the almonds. Almonds take a little time to roast, but roast it with the skin on, and it will give like a nice crunchy taste. And that's what you want, a nutty flavor, a crunchy flavor. And try and move the almonds around the pan, because you don't want the almonds to burn. So this is I'm going to give the almonds a stir. This is something that you can do ahead of time if you want to. You can do this ahead of time as well. And another ingredient you need is, I got dark chocolate here, which I'll be using for coating. And I made a bain-marie, so I'm using a pan with some water in it. And later on you'll see that I'll put this is glass, but it's a shatterproof glass. I'll put over my pan, and I'll let the steam melt the chocolate. So I'm going to do that afterwards, once the almonds are roasted. And another thing, if you don't have any molds, the silicone mold is good for making your marble burfi into a round shape. So can you still hear me? So these are like nice and toasted, and I'm going to toast the oats as well. So this is like a great breakfast bar. This is a great breakfast bar as well. So if they're lightly toasted, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch my pan off. So while I'll be preparing this, I'm going to, at the same time, put the chocolate on bain-marie, so that will start melting the chocolate. And look at this, it's nice toasted. The oats are still white. It hasn't burnt. It shouldn't burn. It should just be like lightly toasted. And now I'm going to put everything in the food processor. When you're making this at home, do this preparation work in advance, so that you don't, the hot steam from the almonds doesn't make the dish watery. So I'm going to switch this off. Oh, I need to be switch.
Oh, sorry.
So they're roughly chopped, the nuts are roughly chopped. If you can put the So it's lovely. Can you see? It's roughly chopped. It's not completely powdery. And you want to keep it like roughly chopped as possible because you don't want you want to have that crunch. You don't want it completely like almond powder. Next, I'm adding raisins, the golden sultanas, and I'm adding cranberries and dates. So these are about 200 grams of dates. I'll chop them up. I'm mixing everything together. It will make like a fine dough. Again, I'll chop it a bit more. So you can probably see it's lovely. It's the nuts are like roughly chopped. Remove the blade. Always remove the blade. Do not put your hands in the food processor while the blade is in there. It's really sharp. You'll cut yourself. Okay. Next thing I'm going to make. I got my silicone tray here, and I'll take a mixture and I'll put it in. Fill the molds up. Any questions? Does anybody have any questions so far? It's really simple recipe.
Comments, yeah.
So put your questions in the comments. And you can see they were like really simple ingredients. It's really ideal for children as well. Like especially now during lockdown, they'll be around for weekends. So it's perfect treat for the weekends. You can make this dish with children as well. It's pretty simple and tastes delicious as well. The only thing I've not put in here is I haven't put any spices like cardamom. The reason is that there'll be so many Diwali sweets, all with different. And most of them will have cardamom in it, will have saffron in it. So that's why I'm not adding any cardamom in this one. There's a question.
Can you do it without a mold from Evelyn?
The question is, can we do it without a mold? Yes, you can do it without a mold. But then you won't be able to get a marble. So if you do it without a mold, I'll show you how to do it. You can either make it round. So you take a little bit in your hand and you can press it down like that. And you can make it into mold like that. And then you can cover it up with chocolate if you want. You can freeze this and then dip it in chocolate. and that will be like another shape that you have. So you don't, it's not necessary to have a mold, but it looks nice and even if you do have a mold. So carry on. Yeah, if you have a pestle and mortar, you can use the bottom bit of the pestle to press this down, and it's a super healthy treat, ideal for breakfast, for going if you're going on your walks, you can take them with you, because a lot of cafes and all the cafes are closed. They're ready. So if you want a snack while you're walking, you can take this as well. Are there any questions? So I'm adding some more. Fill the silicone mold up as much as you can. And this is one of my Diwali treats done. It's starting off Diwali next weekend. We're all super excited. I know we cannot meet each other, but still, we'll still have treats. Send each other treats. Yeah, let's just switch it off. And we'll think of each other, while eating these treats, we'll be thinking of each other as well. Okay. So really press this down so that everything can stick together. So my chocolate's melted. I didn't let the hot water touch this.
There is a question.
The question is, will this be sweet enough for people who have a slightly sweeter tooth? I think it will be quite sweet for people who do have a slightly sweeter tooth, because the dates are quite sweet. The golden raisins will provide the sweetness and sourness, and the cranberries as well. They have a little bit of they'll have a little bit of sweet sourness flavor as well. So this should be quite sufficient. And also I'm going to coat it with dark chocolate, so that the dark chocolate here will have it does have sugar. The dark chocolate does have sugar. So this is not a sugar-free version, but I'll show you a sugar-free version. So the reason I'm telling I was saying about molds is because when you put your dark chocolate in there, it gives a lovely even finish. Question which says, if you're allergic to nuts, what can you use? If you're allergic to nuts, what you can use is you can use puffed quinoa. So you can use that instead. So oats and puffed quinoa. So obviously you won't have the crunchiness. You can use cocoa nibs as well. So that will be a little bitter, but still it will give you that little crunch that you're looking for. Okay, so the next version that I'm doing, so I'm going to leave this. You tap, and let the chocolate move, spread equally. This is a cocoa. It's cocoa and peanut butter. So this is your sugar-free, completely no added sugar. It does taste bitter, but you do get the sweetness from the dates, and they taste amazing. So I'll show you how to make this.
And another question from Evelyn: how about puffed rice?
So puffed rice, like
Say the question.
so the another
Question.
answer another question about using nuts. What can we use with if you are allergic to nuts? Evelyn has answered that you can use puffed rice. Yes, you can use puffed rice, but I think the grain of puffed rice is quite big. So try it out, see if it works, but you probably use less of that. And when you're pressing it down or with your hands, yeah, try it out. I think it will work. Yeah, puffed rice will work, but you may need to use a little bit more dates because the rice will is quite dry. So whereas the nuts, it produces its own oil when you blending it. I'm going to add a little bit more peanut butter. Oh, actually, I'll leave it. I won't add any more peanut butter now. But you get the idea. This is without peanut. This is without any sugar. So it's just peanut butter and cocoa powder. I'm just going to spread this around. It's not like you can see once you got your peanut butter and cocoa powder in, it's not as smooth as a chocolate. So now, how do we create the marble effect? So taking a really, really tiny spoon. Now you have to be very, very patient. I'm going to line it up like this. Try and make as many thin lines as you can. Like this. Yeah, this is like an art session as well. It's very, very creative. So it's quite therapeutic when you're doing this. It's you have to be very, very patient. This is where you can let your creative skills out. I'm also just going to create a few blocks here. There's not a lot of fancy equipment you need. You don't need too many fancy ingredients. It's really simple to make. If you don't have a food processor, you can melt the dates on the pan as well. But just be very careful because the dates will, as the dates warm up, they do have the sugar will start melting in the dates and it can burn you. So be very, very careful if you're using, if you're doing it without a food processor. Okay. All right. So now, a very, very fancy equipment, a toothpick. Literally just put a line through, clean it up, another line through, another line through. So every time you do this, clean your toothpick. And if you do round and you take your toothpick round, that will create another kind of design. But just do it all in one go, not what I just did. And again, give it a shake. And this is the one that's no added sugar, it's just peanuts. Okay. So that's the design. I'll fill those in later on. Just going to wash my hands. The next thing you do is you put this in the fridge to set for not for long, only about 10 minutes. And this is the end result. Lay it down on a nice plate and enjoy them with your guests. So even if you just have about half an hour notice that your guests are coming in half an hour, well, it's not going to happen in lockdown. So, but even say in the past, if the guests were coming in half an hour, this would be the basic ingredients that everybody would have in the house, just to make a quick and simple dish. I'm going to give it a try. It's all. I'm sorry. I don't know. Is it?
Yeah. Sorry, we can't hold because
I can't hold it further. Oops. Okay. So I'm gonna give it a try.
how long do they keep in the fridge? There's a question.
Oh, how long do they keep in the fridge? You can freeze this as well. So if you freeze this, it will stay for a very long time, for at least for 3 months. In the fridge, at least for a week, if they last that long. But in my fridge, it won't last for a week. It will just last for a couple of days. But because there isn't any water element to this dish, so it will last for a pretty long time. Things start going off really quickly if you soak the dates in water, then they start going off really quickly. But otherwise, they'll stay at least for a week in the fridge. Yeah, if there aren't any more questions, this brings us to the end of our demonstration. Enjoy the festive treats. Thank you. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. Please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.